Hi, everyone, and welcome to my yoga mat in my new apartment, my new yoga corner, my yoga wall. And I am excited to share with you this first video, moving on into another component that I'm excited to share on A Moment's Glory, and that is mindful movement or yoga. I know that I have started off talking a lot about and sharing SEL, and I will continue to do so. But another area that is super important for your brain and brain health, and that is exercise, that's movement. And so my focus is mostly going to be on yoga or mindful movement to help with all of that. And I will be sharing, I will be doing some, full sequences of yoga. I'm not quite there yet. I just want to start slowly and build from there. And one of the reasons for that is, I have been doing yoga, not, everyday yoga, but I was introduced to yoga probably like 25 years ago at a YM. And that was great and it was wonderful. And even throughout, the course of the last 25 years when I had gone to yoga classes or studios, a lot of the movements that, I did was mostly for, I saw yoga as a way to exercise, and it is, but there's so much more to it. And what I want to do here is kind of break that down into the asanas or into the poses and start very slowly introducing pose by pose. I know that can be kind of boring, but interesting at the same time because the different poses do different things to your body. It does different things to your brain. It activates different parts of your brain for better brain health. And so that's what I want to start doing here, and within the upcoming weeks. And I know that a lot of this is more for adults, but as the adult in your child's life or as the teacher, these are important for you to know too. Not only for if you are taking it and using it with your children, or if you see me using it with your children, it's also important for you too, in case you have interest in this as well. So today, what I would like to do is just share with you some props. These props are useful. They can be useful for children, probably more useful for adults. As we get older, we may not be as flexible, although for me, you will see that I am not very flexible at all. And even, when I was in high school in my athletic prime, I still had trouble touching my toes. So that's always been an issue for me. So I wanted to introduce to you some of the props and what the purpose of them are. If you are familiar with yoga, you probably have seen them. You may even own them or have you used them yourself. But I just wanted to take a little bit of time to just kind of introduce them to you so that as I continue to share videos, and I can just pull it out and you'll know, or you can pull yours out and you'll know why you're using it, what its purpose is. And I think the big thing with using props is just to meet yourself where you're at. If you have to pull out a prop to help yourself out, there's nothing wrong with doing that. Yoga is a very forgiving, it's a very accepting practice, and it starts with you. So I'm going to start with the yoga block. And the yoga block is great for bringing the earth or bringing the ground up to you. It helps, if you have those tight hamstrings like I do, and those folds are not easy for you. And the important part is to keep to keep yourself aligned. And if you are struggling or if you're pushing yourself past that comfort zone to touch the floor or whatever the pose may be, it might, you know, the purpose of that pose, you might, negate the purpose of that pose. So these are great tools to use to help you just to raise the floor, to help you keep that alignment, to make things more comfortable for you. And then as you continue your practice, you will see that, maybe first you have to raise it high and then you can lower it and lower it as you continue to build that flexibility and that confidence. And so the yoga blocks are great for that. Another tool is the strap. I have a strap here, but you don't have to have an actual yoga strap. You could use a belt, you could use a towel, something that whatever you can find around your house that you can use to help you. And this is, I have to use this when I do stretches as well. And it just kind of helps you to keep things aligned. Again, that alignment's important to keep things aligned so that you are not struggling to, reach your toes or to, keep your body, your hips aligned. Where I will be mentioning the hips a lot. And, to keep everything where it should be, but so that you can get the best stretch. So if I'm trying to touch my toes, well, yes, I can touch my toes here, but there are certain movements where if I'm standing up and I want my leg out, I can't do that. But with a strap, it'll allow me to do that pose, to get that stretch in, to activate those parts of the brain that movement was intended to activate, and just feel good about myself. So these are, a yoga strap is also a prop that you may want to use. Also a blanket. It doesn't have to be, there's not really like a specific yoga blanket. It could be any kind of blanket. Typically the ones that are not like so like cushy, something that's, a little bit more sturdy, I guess. And these are great for lifting up your hips. A lot of the poses you are sitting on your sits bones, so you can see that I'm kind of like grabbing and pulling back the muscles there. So I'm sitting on my sit bones, and it does really help with the hips. I've noticed recently that my hips seem to be out of alignment a lot. I think that has to do with my long distance running that I do, and so I tend to use this yoga blanket a lot more than I ever used to. It feels more comfortable. It helps me to keep my body aligned, nice and straight. Even when I pull my legs out, I'm sitting up straight with better posture. And, it's going to help me to be successful in whatever movement, whatever pose that I'm going to be doing next. And again, there's no shame in using any of these props. It's your practice, and you will get the best out of your practice, meeting yourself where you're at. We do this with children as a teachers. We do this with children all the time. We meet them where they're at in their comfort zone so we can push them out. You don't want to be outside of that comfort zone, and extending where they're not capable of, reaching just yet. And it's the same for us too. The last thing is a bolster. This is not an actual bolster. This is just one of my bed pillows. But I chose this one because it is a little bit, it's not super fluffy, and it is more sturdy. The bolsters, again, it's depending on the pose that you're doing. Sometimes it's comfortable to put underneath your knees. So anybody who has knee issues, and you want it to be raised up depending on the movement, it's a good, a bolster is something that's nice to use. Sometimes we have movements where you are laying on your back, and just to have that extra support on your back, a bolster is nice for that. Again, you don't need to have an actual yoga bolster. A pillow that you might have at home will work just fine too. Same with the yoga blocks. You don't need to have actual yoga blocks, books, cans of soup, anything that you can find that is, similar size, or, even if you need something that's higher than this and you have something at home that works better for you, go ahead and grab that. And so these are just a few of the props that I wanted to share with you. The wall is another one. We'll be working, I'm not sure if you can see my face, but if you're working on something balanced, or if we're doing a tree pose, okay, you may want to hold on to the wall or have it nearby in case you need it, in case it makes you feel more comfortable to have it there. It's also a great way for, and I had to accept and learn this too, that, when I want to bend from the hips, I'm not very good at that, but if I'm walking down a wall, it makes me straight, and, it keeps me in alignment. And that's where I want to be. I don't want to be out of alignment and do these movements. And so a wall, and then finally a chair. I'm actually going to be taking a chair yoga course over the summer, so I'm super excited about that. But a chair is also something that can be very useful, and a lot of yoga poses actually can be done sitting in a chair. So for anybody who can't get down onto the floor or down to the mat, doesn't mean that you can't take part in this as well. So there's lots of differentiations, lots of different ways to get you engaged, to get you on the mat or in the chair, or just most importantly, get you moving. And so I hope that this was helpful. And like I said, I will be sharing more. I'll be getting into more poses, and hopefully it'll be interesting to you when I start to share not just the pose, but really breaking it down pose by pose, at least the basic ones that, like I said, if you are familiar with yoga at all, you would have seen these poses, but really like explaining the benefits, the brain benefits to them for you as adults, but again, for the children too. So thank you for joining and for listening to me. And I hope that you all have a great evening. Bye bye.